you out here.
Hi, my name is Carlos. I travel, I tattoo, and I take it all in. One country at a time, one tattoo at a time. Travel is what inspires me. Tattooing is what guides me. This is how I interpret the world. This is the global canvas.
Hi, how's it going? Before I forgot to unmute my mic, I was just saying it's a late night, but it's not really that late. It's like 9:30. If I wasn't doing this, I'd just be laying in bed, so whatever, who cares? Let's hang out. Let's paint a ballerina. So, today, what I want to focus on is doing some values in the leggings here. I want to put some details into like the feet and then define some edge shapes. And what I feel like doing is getting the central figure more defined. Even though the background has so much work it needs to have still, I just think it would be fun to be able to see some shape in the solid blacks that are on the leggings and the sports bra. And this section down here in particular is bugging the heck out of me, so let's have at it, shall we? Alright, so as always, I have my Liquin here. Liquin is a fast drying medium. If I mix my oil pigment with it, theoretically speaking, it's supposed to set up overnight so I can get back into it, but I've been having some long drying times on this particular painting. I have my hunches why. We'll see if I can work around it and make some different stuff happen. For the next time, I want to be able to knock out like at least 3 or 4 sessions a week rather than 2, but nobody's complaining, so thanks for joining. Alright. I clipped my mic there. Alright. Check. Let me turn my mic down just a little bit so it's not destroying your ears. How's my music too? Is my music good? Yeah, that looks alright. Bring that mic back. Let's bring that mic back. Alright, that's good. Alright, well, let's sit there. Okay, so shall I start? Let me start with defining some of the legging shapes. So what I want to do for that is I'm going to use this round. Grab up some liquid here. I want to do like a grayish tone. Something close, almost like violently, ridiculously close to the tone that's already there, but just to lift a little bit of shape. And I really hope my camera picks this up. I think it will. But let's see. So, oh yeah, you guys can see that. All I'm going to do first is just start separating my layers. Meaning separating one leg in front of the other leg. And again, this, as I said a million times, this reference up here is from Midjourney AI, so some of the decisions it made are absolutely stupid. So we are going to fix that as artists. We can make decisions in the canvas for what is and is not going to work. So all I'm really doing is pulling shapes forward. Since it was flat as flat gets with just those solid black undertones, I'm going to use this mid-tone gray and just bring some shapes forward. So I want to be able to see some of the calf coming towards the light this way. Same with the side of the hip, but maybe a little bit on the inside of here because they're close to the same plane. This is backwards this way a little bit, but they're close to the same plane, so there'll be some light that hits there, but really the majority of it's going to be. And then I need to do here two. Let's see, two. Still in the phase where I'm doing like some big, broad strokes, you know? Still making like big, ballsy decisions and then fine tune later. I'm like a broken record with this lesson of fine tune later. We'll start with something more subtle and then later, blah, blah, blah. I feel like just like tattooing, the painting really comes together in like the final moments. Whereas you would love to see huge steps right away, but it's not always the way that it goes. You guys are having a cool week. A little weird out there, so just enjoy your time inside for right now, I suppose. Right. Okay, so that's already feeling better. It's going to be subtle, that's fine. I am A-okay with subtlety on this. But how subtle? We can always push-pull. We can make it more prominent, less prominent, and I bet you when it comes time to get to like the final details, I'll probably make like some ridiculously strong decisions, like putting like some reflective quality into the leggings. See, yeah, that's showing up on my camera cool. You can see here just pumping in a little bit of a highlight into some of these areas. And that just helps separate the foreground leg and the background leg. I've been getting some awesome feedback from everybody on my channel. Thank you for all of that. I've had a number of people reach out and say nice things about painting, about my paintings, so that's cool. Appreciate that. And some of the other little videos I've done too. I've had some pretty nice people reaching out. That makes me happy. Also, I'm very proud to announce that we're getting some more followers for the channel, so that's great. We're starting our journey this year with Global Canvas, the travel docu-series. We're starting our journey with Global Canvas, the brand with oil painting and tattoo teardowns and other materials, silly little videos that tattooers are all required to do these days to keep a social media presence alive. But it's very nice, even if it's 79 followers. That's a lot more people than are swinging by the studio just to say what's up and chat about painting. Huge theme of mine is that I don't mind failing in front of people, so if any of this goes wrong, we can just say, isn't that interesting, and then just move on with our day. So I hope you guys are getting a little something out of that. Be nice to be a little bit more carefree. I have a feeling, because I got my whole new setup here, you can tell that the videos look different than last time. I have a camera directly on a vertical easel, so my hand's not obscuring all the shots as much. I have my reference, obviously. I got my palette down here, but I'm having a feeling like my palette's gonna slide and fall out and make a huge exploding mess sometime tonight. So we'll see if that happens. That'd be kind of fun to pair with this too, huh? That was way too bright on that. A little highlight. If you're out there, if you're watching live, say what's up. Or throw any questions you got my way. I love to talk. Right now I'm just playing with ivory black and titanium white to try to get these values. straight black and straight white. Often a big no-no, but I've had a day, so we're gonna go ahead and make some decisions. Alright, so it's giving us a little bit more definition there. I should grab some paper towel really quick. I think because I'm playing with the, let me take my headphones out for a second. Because I'm playing with these deeper values that are on the leggings and the sports bra, I feel like I should also do some work with the hair, because that would also be receiving light, you know? Similar, if not the exact same amount of light as the pants and the sports bra would. So maybe while I'm here, while I'm pumping those values up, I can do a little bit of values in the hair. And then I want to spend a considerable amount of time shaping out the feet, the shadows on the face, and cutting in the major silhouette, tying it to the background a little bit better, and getting rid of a couple of these little lumpy brush strokes. So we know that she has like a deep brown hair. It's not fully black, it's like a deeper brown, so. Give her hair a little bit of shape. Look how messy my palette is. You can still see my original color layout here, but it's just a maddening amount of little blends here, little blends there. All right, it's a good place to be messy. This is where we can let that child that trashes your living room come out in yourself. So far, everything I've done here in this first 10 minutes has literally just been from imagination. It's not even in the reference. Maybe there's a little bit of tone on the hair in the reference, but really not much. Just trying to give it a little shape, something a little bit more interesting. All right, so now we got those. Now I can see a little bit more shape. Let us go through and smooth out some of the features. Something I noticed when I was setting up is she's got like a wicked lump right here in her belly. Like, that's not how anatomy works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carve in that whole area. By carve in, I mean I'm going to bring some of this background color towards the foreground, overlap it, and then blend it in. And that's what we'll do with all of this around here too. And then it'll give us some play with the silhouette of the figure. We can make sure everything that's supposed to be showing is. Tell you a little bit. There we go. Oh, beautiful. I fixed that. I like that. So her rib cage, she's doing a huge back bend. So the normal anatomy, the rules of anatomy are, we're gonna have to use some imagination to make sure we're making it all work right. So if flip over my brush so I don't have any. Sometimes when I want to point and gesture out some stuff, like it's the back end of my brush, so I'm not smudging with live paint. So if her boobs are here, her upper shoulder is here, that means the rib cage would come under here and have like the roundish shape up there. So give like a little bit of a protrusion there, and then the belly would come in the tiniest bit. So if that protrusion is like boom, and the belly would come down that. See how that works? Small, tight little adjustments. Sometimes it makes all the difference. Belly, make it a little bit you know what just happened there? I just took out, I did this on purpose, but I don't like how it worked, so I'm gonna go ahead and fix it. But I took out some of the edge of her shirt there. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab just straight medium, just liquid with no pigment. This is clear as clear gets. And I'm gonna use that to buff back and kind of like an eraser back what I just pulled out. Look at that. Love it. Okay. Back to this color. I said love it. And I said it kind of in a John Lovitz voice. I don't know how many of you know the story of why Carlos hates John Lovitz and why John Lovitz apparently hates Carlos but doesn't know it. It was a crime of obliviousness, a crime of ignorance. A few years back, I was judging a tattoo competition with my friend Joe at Astronomicon, it's Comic-Con, Pop Culture Con, and one of the featured guests that year was John Lovitz. And I was so excited to meet him. I was so excited to get autographs, to ask any kind of questions I possibly could. And I'm friends with the promoters of the event. And I walk up to my friend and I go, I hope it's alright to talk about all this. And I walk up to my friend and I go, dude, I'm so excited. Lovitz is here. I'm nervous to meet him. And he pulls me to the side. He goes, you know, he's kind of been an issue. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, he's been like a little bit of a curmudgeon. I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. Whatever. And then I noticed he was being like very standoffish to his own assistant. Like while they were at the table, he was like not even acknowledging his assistant when his assistant was asking questions. And I was like, oh, that's kind of bad for him. And then, okay, whatever. So anyway, back to the story. I was hosting this tattoo contest, and John Lovitz was doing the panel right before Joe and I went out to do the tattoo contest. I had noticed John Lovitz was eating an inordinate amount of lozenges, like for like sick people, like throughout the weekend. Thought that was kind of strange. So anyway, he goes out, does his thing, talks. Cool, thank you, good night. Room clears out. We set up for the tattoo contest. People come back in. We do the tattoo contest. I used the same microphone as John Lovitz, and wouldn't you know it, I woke up with COVID the next day. I got Lovitzed. So John Lovitz gave me COVID, and he doesn't know it because he's probably a dick and doesn't even pay attention to such things. But I was very upset about that. If you have COVID, stay home. You really need the autograph money? Anyway, that's my story about John Lovitz. That's the last time I'll get invited to that Comic-Con, I'm sure, because I just shared a story that was not very kind to one of the celebrities. So how are you? So what I just did here, so I'm not leaving you guys out of the loop, I pumped in a little bit more of that fleshy tone of the arm that's behind the arm. That thing that's happening, if you look at my reference. And I'm going to carve in the top edge of that with a much more contrasty background color, because that background is going to get pumped up in its richness. And this will give me a good chance, or this is a good time, I should say, for me to start defining some of these areas. Can't wait for that later layer where I get to really glaze everything and do a ton of photographic effects and really push-pull the foreground-background relationships. Look at that. Even just that little bit of contrast right there really pulled the face forward. Because it was just like smooth area next to smooth area. Now that there's even like a modest amount of tonality, starts to make things pop. And that's part of what I want to do with this hour is I want to... I just lost what I put in there, god damn it. I want to define the, you know, the silhouette of the edge of the character. Make it a little bit more believable. Okay, so I need to get a brush out that I can do some background, like this like concrete color here. Because I want to start pulling the lines in. If you look at the reference, you can see that the legs are more slender than they are in this. It's because we overshot the area when we put in those initial dark tones. So now I'm going to pull in those edges around there. And I don't need a warm tone here. I need something a little bit cooler. So as bizarre as it sounds, I'm gonna add just the tiniest bit of, it's like blue, French ultramarine blue. So now that's really cold, really blue. So let's grab some more white. So there's like a nice big hamstring to calf that should be a lot straighter than that is right there. So I see like lump, 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 lump. Goodbye lumps. And I said, you have a lumpy butt. There, and then I'm going to just kind of pull these colors away from that new edge that I made, and then we'll buff it into the background later when we get to more background stuffs. Alright, so I like that for that back edge of the leg. There's a couple lumps I want to get rid of in the front edge of the leg. I see, so here's calf, which would be kneecap here, which means I would go up there. There is a little dip that would come in front of that kneecap, but not nearly that severe. So let's go ahead and smooth that out. Nice, definitely sharper. Now on this part of my painting, that point right there between those two legs, there's like a little bit of a round, and on my reference, that's sharp as shit. So it's too early to put the final like keystroke of sharpness right there, but let's make it much tighter. Better, closer, warmer. Been a few videos since I've mentioned it, so I'll explain what I'm using right now. I'm using oil paints that I picked up at Blick's, and they're like the Blick or Utrecht brand oil pigments. I never use water soluble oils. That's kind of like they're not going to play well or mix well with all the other paints that are on the market, and I want everything to be able to intercommunicate, so I just don't use those water soluble ones. Good for cleanup, way easier for taking care of brushes. We'll get brush cleaner. Definitely not what you would want to use if you're trying to mix brands and build out your palette. You know, it's like tattooers who, you know, they're not going to use 100% of one ink brand. They're going to swap between a few. You know, the white over here is a lot better than the white from this company, or like, you know, they want a black that's a lot more viscous, and maybe their main company doesn't sell a, you know, one that's that liquidy. So yeah. So anyway, just using straight oil paint, mixing with a little bit of liquid for fast drying properties. I have to put in some new black on this edge here because that front of the hip looks a little off. Front thigh, I meant. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And then while I got that black out, I'm going to bring the cuff of the leggings down a little bit lower. I think instead of being here, it should be like here. That makes a lot of difference. I know it probably looks silly, but it really truly does. Because now it feels way tighter on her ankle. There is an issue here, and we're going to take care of it, it's fine, but there is an issue here where I could see a little bit of this discolored pavement peeking out there, and it's kind of creating like a weird shape on the foot. Not worried about it right now. We'll tune that up in the future. I just want to get the leggings figured out here, and then I can start doing some details in the foot. Tarantino would be so happy with this episode. And it's not because I'm going to edit it backwards. That would be a stupid, very fun... I mean, what process in oil paint is interesting enough to try to recut the series of how it's done? Oh, that's how he did his underpainting? Oh my god. Now that I got that figured out, let's go ahead and start playing with some colors for these feet. I should mix up, I'm going to mix up a little pile. I'm going to work over here on my palette, because I already have, this is all dry from our last session, but I already have some tones sitting here. Start with alizarin crimson and a little bit of burnt raw sienna, burnt sienna? I can't remember which one I pulled out here. Grab some white. And I have that warm tone that I'm probably not going to really use right there, except for maybe really super warming up one little shadow, but I am going to be taking that and pulling it off in case I need to keep that. And then now that I have this tone, it's like, okay, that's looking pretty good, but I need to go a little lighter on that, so I'm going to grab more white, mix, and I'm going to keep pulling it off in this direction. And you can see it's getting progressively lighter as it comes over here. That gives me, I mean, oil paint, it's amazing because you barely need any of it to spread a good amount on your surface. So even these tiny little hues right here, I'll be able to dip in and use. Okay, so I should probably go with the mid-tone before I start plugging in this lightest one. So let me grab from like right here and start defining some of the shapes of a foot. Bone there. Little bendy pieces here. And warm it up just the tiniest bit because things do get warmer as they move to their shadow side. I love when the music starts over on the stream because it sounds like somebody just like, play it again. Now I want to warm it up, but it also has to be darker, so I'm going to grab some raw umber, pull it off in this direction. I can make a much more neutralized, deeper, warm shadow. I don't want it to get too black, but that looks pretty good. And we're gonna do something big today. We're gonna get the edge of this foot to full value black. So she needs to be like on her, like pulling her toe behind her right here, right? And right now it seems super straight like this, and we need to bend the toe back a little bit. But how can we do that? Well, the first thing I need to do is reshape it. So I'm gonna grab, use my other brush so I don't mess up my tones here. And grab a little bit of this darker cement shadow here. Just chop off her foot up right there. That automatically flattens that out a little bit. And then I can push the arch in a little bit right here. Now it's starting to bend backwards a little bit at least. I feel like it still needs to be flatter though. There we go. These are really subtle little changes, but they do make a difference. It is kind of important. I have this funky little task ahead of me with these ballerina flats. They're very close to her flesh tone color because they're meant to not be seen, right, on stage. So I'm gonna need to like really with like a couple tiny little keystrokes at the end show like the lip of the edge of the elastic that's snapping that to the foot. So, I mean, I could drop it in right now. Now that that's there, I'm going to keep using the same flesh tones, but I'll put like some wrinkles in the slipper of the flat, and like I said, same flesh tones, and then maybe I can glaze it with like a little bit of like a shimmery yellow tone when we're all said and done, just to separate a little bit more. Might do that. That's gonna be brighter because that's catching quite a bit of light. So I'm gonna grab this Naples yellow, a little bit of white, titanium white, Naples yellow. Blend it in this flesh tone a little bit, and I want the side of the shoe to catch a lot of light. Side of this flat, if you will. Cool. Alright, so now we're getting closer, but we have a big thing we gotta take care of right now. So whenever two objects touch each other, it creates what's called the occlusion shadow, which is the shadow that's formed where things touch. And my friend Nick had taught me that the occlusion shadow is always full black because it's 100% absence of light. So what I need to do is on this part, which is technically the top of the foot, I need to get a solid shadow, like a hard edge almost, coming from the line straight from the leggings down underneath, and then where the toe touches the ground has to be black. I'm a little nervous about pulling this line. I'm gonna do it, don't worry. But I will start by putting in that black where the foot actually touches the ground. I'll do that first, just to get my hand used to this spot, and then I will start playing with that shadow line. Shadow goes out this way. Just gonna splotch in some dark right there, and I'm gonna grab a blending brush, a mop brush, and I'm gonna pull the shadow out and away. I'm going to take it from here and pull it this way. Maybe like that. I like it. There's a little bit of depth. That depth isn't going to be believable until we get this real deep shadow on the foot. I want to make some special sauce for this. I don't want to use black, so I'm going to grab in Alizarin Crimson, French Ultramarine Blue, and what I can pull left of here of this raw umber. It makes a black, but it makes a warm black. As counterintuitive as that sounds. And then what I need to do is straight from the legging, right like that. And now I gotta pull everything that's coming in off of that ledge, that line, that edge. Wow, stumbling over words. I'm so nervous. Because now this gives me the opportunity to maintain the sharpness of that edge on this side of it, but buff it out back this way on this side of it. Very nice. Happy with how that's turning out. Gotta take a couple more of these shadows up in and under here. Nice. Cool, and she's been playing outside, like in the alley, so the bottom of her shoe is gonna have a little bit of dirt on it. It's not gonna be fully clean. You're not fully clean unless you're zestfully clean. If you are over 40, you know that commercial, you know that reference, and if you're not, I apologize that I'm such an old asshole. Bit deeper, and then we might as well, while we're here, before moving on to the next foot, little highlight just to show that they're shiny and silky. Good enough for that foot. Let's move over to this one. Similar moves, similar things we're gonna do. First and foremost, I'm gonna shape out that arch with that little cement in the background like we were talking about. So I'm gonna come back up here into this little neutralized gray tone. And I'm gonna do this in a way where my hand's not in the way of the camera so you can see what I'm doing. See that? Much nicer. Grab some white. This edge here, and this edge here, so the background stays soft. Cool. Alright, so now we're going to do the same thing we did with this foot, but with this one. I'm going to use a nice warm shadowy color. Show the ankle. That's about as dark as I would ever want that to be, so I'm going to that brighter. Show this curved shape of the belly flat there. With a lighter tone. Redefine these shadows I just put in because they were way too heavy. And the trick here is to not make things muddy. So we're going to keep using very similar values and hues to what was already there and just tune it. Still paint on top of paint, because that's always a rule, but we're going to tune it. I have to give a shout out to retired Franklin High School art teacher Jeremy Rowe for some of the little tiny things he would say here and there that just stuck forever. And one of them is paint on top of paint. Don't worry or anything like that, concerning yourself with, oh, but what if? Nothing, there's no what if, it's fine. If you get to like timid about it, you'll end up with all these little spots where like the background ground is popping through and it just makes your painting less believable. Right now we're still even in this phase just kind of defining all the shapes of what is where, what goes where. There's nothing that's like a final brush stroke yet in what we're doing. And I'm leaning a lot on like my tattooing skills and my painting skills as well. Like I'm hardly looking at the reference. It's just glancing to make sure that I'm not making any like large errors. But I'm really just thinking about like, where's the light hit? What are the shapes here? How drastic or dramatic are those shadows going to be? And then we can worry about our subtleties. Like I just made that ankle bone gigantic. Little Achilles here. And I'm gonna pull the arch forward because nobody's foot's really that smooth. Clown shoe. Like that. And some highlights. I'm gonna pull off of it with like a warmer mid-ish tone. Remember, we gotta put in occlusion shadows. We gotta make some decisions on how dark it's gonna be where the foot actually touches the ground. Now here's another problem I'm looking at, which is not a problem because we're gonna tune it. This is what painting is. But this foot, I'm feeling really good about the anatomy of this character. This looks a little bit longer, right? But that foot is technically in the background behind where this leg comes in the foreground. So it shouldn't be a larger shoe size than this one. So what do? Well, this foot needs to get a little bit smaller, but this one needs to get a little bit bigger to average it out so I don't have to shrink that guy too much. So I'm going to bring this toe line back a little bit further. By grabbing a highlight here. And where that highlight is right now, we're going to put one back behind it over here. Boom. Now we just made her foot a little bit longer. How do you like that? So now we got to make this one a little bit smaller. So we know that we're going to have some darker highlights coming through underneath here, but I'm not ready to decide exactly where yet, so I'm going to come back in with like a cementy tone and just do this. My hand out of the way. I'm going to kind of bring that up there. You like that? Already working out, huh? We're going to have a really cool effect coming in here in just a minute. So there's going to be some arch underneath this foot, but not a whole lot. But we want to identify that. Is that what I mean? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some of this shadow, this occlusion and cast shadow coming out, and I'm going to skip a little bit of that arch just to show how it lifts off the ground. So we are going to grab some tone for where the occlusion would go, underneath the toes and underneath the heels. So the toes would be about here. The heel would be about here. And We're gonna leave a little gap. Let's see if that's enough, or if I gotta put some more pigment down before I buff that. Go heavier on that. Enough bitched out there. How many brushes am I holding in my hand right now? Oh, there it is. Jeez, oh Pete. I don't know if it's showing up on camera or not, but I have a piece of paper towel and I have 4 brushes just in my hand that I'm swapping in between constantly. Alright, so this guy, I'll buff that. Not too terrible. I do think I need to bring this shadow in here this way more though, to show like some of the rest of the leg. Just kind of slid my hand there. When I do my final shadow glazes, I'll do like a real subtle undershadow throughout this section. That'll be in like the last 10% of the videos that we post for this. Maybe even less. Alright. I'm gonna make this. It's her little baby toe. Big toe at the end. Oh no, her big toe's right there. Big toe just a little bit bigger. Remembering that it is inside of a ballet flat, so couple of wrinkles in that flat. I should bring up the arch a little higher because now it looks like it's falling off, sliding underneath her foot. So instead of having that line there, I will come up to like there. That is better. So now I need it to feel shiny. So there's gonna be more contrast and something shiny. You're gonna be able to see the variations better. Right now, a little bit darker of a line underneath there. Gonna come in. Do a couple brighter tones, just kind of dotted throughout here. So we can see that there's some texture in there. If that's the case, I'm going to balance it out right here. Yeah, so we see that there's a little bit of a textural difference between the skin and the silkenness of those little nude flats. So So now I'm gonna spend the final 10 minutes here working on some shadow shapes in the face here to define it. Because right now I just have like a really flat, I got like a little reddish part where that nose is, and just like one flat silhouette here, a little shadow, and then some tones there. So I want to roll that form a little bit. So you remember earlier when we came down here, we mixed up these fleshy tones. I made like slightly warmer with that alizarin crimson. A little bit rosier, like rosy cheek-like. A little bit too much liquid in there. I'm gonna lighten that up. Alright, let's see what Daddy sees. Let us see what Madame Ruby sees. This is where her cheek will be turning towards the sky. I feel like I got too much neutral tones going on in my brush today. That special sauce from earlier is really doing its work. Feels better. So you can see your cheek a little bit better here. You need a ridge of the temple still, like up here. These have some lighter tone, still too light though, so I'm gonna go back in and tune. I like to do this trick. It's, you know, I didn't make any of this stuff up. There's nothing new under the sun. But I like to do this trick where I blur out the focus of my eyes, just kind of dead stare. And it lets you see averages of these tones better and really pick up like it helps you answer questions by looking at it more blurry and objectively of like, what is it that I'm trying to accomplish? What is it that I'm trying to do? This edge need to have a lot more warmth on it because, oh shit. Alright, I'm just gonna start that over. Does this edge need more warmth because it gets to the full turn away from the camera? Absolutely. That might be something I wouldn't have even really noticed until blurring my eyes out. Doesn't really need a 5 head, so I'm gonna blend it back so it doesn't look like it's as, now instead of a 4 head shape. There we go. But now that I have that edge there, it's gonna be a lot easier to find the foreground and the background, and I should have, while I had that exact tone on my brush, pulled it all the way to the bridge of the nose, but I just wasn't thinking. I was just getting too excited, too ahead of myself. Find the brow ridge a little bit. And now that edge is the silhouette of the face is communicating with the pigment that's next to it, right? That background. So I have to, in concert with working on this foreground, work on the background, or else it's just not gonna all line up and work. So we'll have to chunk in some background shape really quick. I can blend off of that. And I have my hard edge there. I blend up and out, up and out, up and away. Give me more definition on that face. Losing some of my shape here, so I should pull there's something going on with the anatomy that I don't like. Maybe I should scrap the whole thing. No, just kidding. If I'm looking at rib cage here, shoulder, and these are just basic drawing issues. If I drew more precise earlier before jumping into painting, this would have been solved already. But if this is her rib cage here, and we have a shoulder out here, and deltoid to elbow here, right? We all can see those shapes. Where is her neck connecting in regards to the rest of what's obscured here? Because that'll tell me how big is this ear, how big is the eye section here, and is her head gigantic? Is it proportioned? Is she just a petite person that has a bigger head, or is this a problem with my drawing? It's going to be the last question. It's a problem with my drawing. So I got to figure out how I want to tune this, right? So I don't go by like the comic book rules or something about like it needs to be 8 heads tall. I don't care about that shit. I understand that works for anatomy sketching, but we're already just sculpting at this point, right? So what do I have to do to get her? And if I could imagine it, it'd be so much better, but my brain is just black inside of it, so I can't just picture her if she were to stand up straight. But that's what I'm gonna imagine, right? So I would say if her arm was not obscuring her face right now, her nose is here, then her mouth and her jaw would be like there, which would connect the neck down here, stretching up this way a little bit. So I need to pull that up instead of down this way if I want that to look a little bit more accurate. So let's start with that. Also, I do need her arm to be a little bit bigger and obscure her face a little bit more. Lost it when I was carving that edge, so let's pull that down. Remember, these tattoos are stupid, so we'll fix those later. Bring her shoulder out a little bit further this way. That changes proportions of things a little bit more. I'm already feeling better. So I think what I should do is right now, again, all of these values here are super, or not values, the field of color here is very flat and it needs to have some dimension to it. So I'm gonna have to round a shape here, make it a little bit warmer and darker down here and round it up this way. So to do that, I have no choice but to grab a deeper tone and make a rounder shape. So I'm just gonna jump in here and block in deeper shadow. Yes, her ear is allowed to come out and grab some light. Makes it a little bit lighter. Blend that shadow into the next tone, and I'll mix it a little lighter, and so on and so forth. And I'm just dancing off the tip of the bristles here, and it's blending as I go. A little bit more of direct painting method, but I'm indirectly the king. Right, a little bit more cheek. And forehead sloping back this way a little bit too much. It should probably be a little bit straighter. Her hair should be reshaped too. Maybe instead of the hair coming down on a straight slope like this, it should, instead of sloping like this, it should come in a little bit more. And then let me reshape her ear. I'm going to push it over this way a little bit more. I feel like I'm making some good decisions here. What do you think? Have anybody in chat right now to talk to, so I'll have to talk to you guys in the comments later. Yeah, give her a big old rat ear, Carlos. Why not? Jesus Christ. This is a pretty subtle painting day. I bet if we go back and scrub the video from the beginning to now, it's gonna be like, what has changed? That's fine. That's okay. I was about to wrap up, but of course, as it goes with art, I saw something I didn't like, so now I gotta jump in and change it. All I saw was that I have never bothered to define the hands yet. So I'm gonna start blocking in the hand shapes tonight, and that's gonna have to do it for it. They say hands and faces are the hardest things to paint, draw, whatever. And when I heard that as a kid, I was like, challenge accepted. I will lean in and try to be the guy that knows how to do hands and faces because people think it's hard. And I got something to prove. Don't know what, but there's something in there. There's a lot of movement, like there's a lot of moving paint around to get this stuff to work right. You know, it's not, there's no magic brush stroke and now it all looks perfect. There's straight up some push-pull going on and a lot of effort. I'm just doing the cup of the outer hand right now, and we'll deal with some more of that in our next session. I admire her for her dedication to her tattoo work. I do wish that she had her hands tattooed. And while we can make that decision because we are the painters and we can tell the story however we want, I'm not going to do it. And let her keep her future job prospects when this whole ballerina thing doesn't work out for her. And keep her hands untattooed. And her belly's all tattooed too. She is like leaned in. She just doesn't know yet. She hasn't landed that big enough gig to cement herself in off-Broadway in a way that will ensure and endure. Feel like I hate seeing stuff that I want to be like, oh, I gotta finish that really quick, but no, save it till later. Like, oh yeah, this eyebrow has to be way more obvious at this point, and way more defined. It's like, okay, let's do it, but it's like, ugh, just hang it up, dude. You're done for the night. What are you doing? I'm not done for the night. You can't tell me. Did I do everything I said I was going to do today? Leggings, feet, facial features. Yeah, I got that down. Okay. Do famous last words. Let me do one more thing and then I'll be done. One more thing and I'll be done. I do it in tattooing all the time too, where I'm like, all right, almost there, almost there. Oh, one more thing, one more thing. But because of the nature of tattooing being a painful, exhaustive effort, and people being like, yeah, well, guess what? I'm done. I I don't really get to push it as far as I want to a lot of times, but in painting, you can do whatever the hell you want. It's not hurting anybody. This gesso board canvas panel, whatever you want to call it, isn't an excruciating pain. It doesn't need to get home in time to fix the kids' dinner, you know what I mean? I can just take my time with it, do whatever I want. I decided to do a little bit of that. Now I can see the inside cup of the opposite hand a little bit better. I will elongate one of her fingers, probably her index finger on her left hand here, just so as to give it a little bit more emotion in the bend. This is probably the wrong tone, but I don't really care. I have her thumb out. I don't really need to put her fingers out too far. Just a need a bit. Now, just to connect these two areas to each other, I'm gonna a little highlight on the palm and run it right over the tattooed arm. I'll separate our two arm layers from each other a little bit better. Better, closer, warmer. We're doing good. One last thing I will do for tonight is there's a highlight that's missing here that's pretty strong, and it definitely makes a difference in this painting. So use one of these bright brushes I hate so much, drop it a little bit, and I swear to God, I'm checking out, signing off. All the way to shape out the back edge of the butt. I'm happy I'm doing this. Never know how to stop. But I'm happy I'm doing this now because it's giving me a little bit more sense of my values to know that that bright is back there. And it's the same bright that's ultimately here, so you might as well drop it there right now. Brighter on that. Yeah. Now that she's popping forward even more now. That background is really showing us how bright the sky is between those buildings, right? Now we got that contrast shooting from her chest. I feel like even not wanting to have done this last little bit right now, but just saying full send, let's just do it. I feel like I'm those last couple quick white background brush strokes have made me happier with today's session and with the foreground. you know, because now there's like, oh, okay, I can see a little bit more illusion of depth. That character's coming further forward, without a doubt, coming further forward. Wow, yeah. The amount of difference that makes right there already. How do you like that? Brighten up the background a little bit and the foreground makes more sense. We're nearing those magic trick moments. Not there yet, but we're nearing it for sure. Where like little strokes here and there change the whole perception of everything. Harmonies start to come together, balances start to balance. And then you got more depth in the paint. Alright, should we stop while we're ahead? Let's stop while we're ahead. Go ahead and wrap up for today. Thank you for chilling. Thanks for stopping by. Like, subscribe, set up notifications, because I know that there's people that jump on later in the comments, and I would love to just chat with you while I'm painting, even though clearly I have no problem talking to nobody. But anyway, thank you so much. This is only episode 5 of what we're doing, and this could honestly end up being like 20 to 50 episodes. So keep tuning in, and let's see progress and where things take us. All right. Thanks, guys, and I will see you next time.